Hey there. It's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the comment, thanks. Near the end of April, Mr. Daniels showed up in Vancouver. Hi sweetheart, how's the movie going? Mr. Daniels said as we broke for lunch. Fine, Mr. Daniels, it's a surprise to see you up here. What's the occasion? Business, of course. We have an offer on the table that I wanted to discuss with you. I arranged for lunch to be served in your dressing room. This is Mr. Drunning. He represents a movie company that wants to hire you for their picture. Hello, Mr. Drunning. It's nice to meet you. My pleasure, Miss Ramsey. I've been looking forward to meeting you for days. I was elated when Mr. Daniels said that I could accompany him here to meet with you. What movie are you casting, Mr. Drunning? The title is Weep for the Lonely Hearts. I believe that you've heard of it? Yes, indeed. I was informed by a reporter 5 weeks ago that it was to be my next picture. I read about that. I'm terribly sorry. The reporter who broke the story misquoted Mr. McMillan. Mac's statement was that the role would be perfect for someone like Crystal Ramsey. The reporter turned that around and implied that you had already been contacted. We didn't actually approach Mr. Daniels until 3 weeks ago. He said that you might be interested in the project. I looked at Mr. Daniels and he nodded subtly. I might, if the SP is well written. I enjoy the book that Ms. Winslow sent to me. I wasn't aware that Ms. Winslow had sent you a copy. I don't really have any contact with her. The best writers that we could get are creating the screenplay. It should be ready in about a month. I understand that you have about 8 more weeks of shooting here. That should be just about right. We want to begin shooting in mid-July, while the bestseller status is still in the minds of the public. I believe that I'm scheduled to shoot an episode of A Station Break after this picture is in the can. Mr. Daniels? That's correct. I have that contract with me today, but that will only be for a week. You'll still be done in time to do the new picture if you want to. Will the SP be faithful to the book? I asked Mr. Drunning. Very faithful, is the report that I get. Then I'd be interested, but I'll reserve my final decision until I see the screenplay. I'm sure that you'll be happy with the SP, so I'm going to plan on having you as our leading lady. Lunch arrived and we talked about the book and the story during the rest of the meal. Afterwards, Mr. Daniels asked Mr. Drunning if he would excuse us for a few minutes so that we could close some other business. I said good bye to Mr. Drunning and he left to wait outside. Mr. Daniels gave me the contract for the television episode to sign. I signed it and then said, "Is this movie company dependable? I don't know if I should buy that story about the misquote." Yes, McMillan's been around a long time. He might stretch the truth occasionally, but he wouldn't ever do anything that would destroy his ability to sign big names. He'll play it straight, and he's offering $12 million for you to star in his picture. Where are they shooting? The studio work will be done in LA, and the outdoor scenes will be shot in Oregon. When? July through October? More like July to December. They're estimating about 5 months, so it could go until Christmas. The director, Paul Bannister, doesn't like to shoot on weekends, so his shooting schedules are always a little longer. Okay, I'll do it if they don't murder the screenplay. After that though, I don't want any more work before February. Okay. There will still be interviews, premieres, and the like. That's okay. It'll keep me from getting too bored. But no movies, television shows, or even commercials. Okay, sweetheart. I'll get the contracts lined up for your signature. We'll put in a stipulation that you'll have script approval rights. It might be a hard sell, but we'll see what they say. We can always wait until the screenplay is complete before signing, if that makes them feel better. Somehow I don't think that would be to their liking either. They'll want to get things sewn up as soon as possible. Let's just wait to see what they say. A knock at the door preceded a voice that said I was wanted back on the set, so we concluded our business and Mr. Daniels left. I washed up and returned to the set. When I got back to the rented house after the day's shooting was done, I told Mom about the offer. They expected you to sign up for a role without even seeing the script? I guess that they figured that knowing the book was enough. It's been on the bestseller list for months. Do you still have the copy that you got from the author? Yes, of course, a copy of a bestseller, with a personal message from the author, is something that I want to keep. Would you like to read it? Yes. I'd like to see how close they remain to the original when the screenplay is written. Okay. It's in my bedroom. I'll get it for you after dinner. What are we having, by the way? Mrs. McGuire has made a nice stew, with dumplings. Sounds good. I'm hungry. When do we eat? It should be ready any minute. As if on cue, Mrs. McGuire picked that minute to come into the dining room carrying a large bowl of stew. It smells delicious, Mrs. McGuire. Thank you, Mississippi. The way that Elwood and Des are eating it in the kitchen, I guess that it turned out okay. It's a good thing that I made an extra large amount today. The stew was delicious, and Mrs. McGuire's dumplings were as light and delicious as ever. After dinner I retrieved the book for Mom and then spent some time getting ready for the next day's shooting before getting into bed. The weeks passed slowly on the set. Not because I was lonely, as I had been in Atlanta, but because I was uncomfortable with my breasts strapped down and I didn't appreciate having to wear the coarse clothes all day. I couldn't wait until we were done shooting each day so that I could change back into my female clothes. Mr. Charles, the director, was satisfied with my performances though. I worked very hard every evening so that I would be well prepared the next day, and tried to do every scene perfectly the first time, hoping to get through each day as quickly as possible. Early in May I traveled to LA to sign the contract for the new movie. Both Mr. Daniels and Jennifer, my publicist, were waiting at the airport to take me to the signing ceremony. I was a lot less nervous about traveling now that I had my shadow with me. Desmond wasn't a great conversationalist, but his presence was always a comfort. The movie company had reluctantly agreed to give me script approval rights since the screenplay was not yet completed. The ceremony was held, following a luncheon, in a small conference room at a hotel not too far from the airport. The movie company executives were all there, along with a photographer and videographer, and about 24 members of the press. After the signing, we answered questions for about 30 minutes. Most questions asked of me were whether or not I had read the book, what I thought of the story, and how I felt about the character that I would play. After the ceremony was over, Des and I were taken back to the airport so that we could return to Vancouver. The following weekend I traveled back to see Barbara and Marge. The real reason for the trip was to be fitted for my dress for the upcoming premiere of A Morning Mist that was going to be held in Atlanta in 2 weeks. I told Des that it was okay for him to go for a walk around town, since there wasn't much chance of anyone bothering me while I was inside the theater. Still, he insisted on staying with me until I was in the makeup room with Marge and Barbara. After I had introduced him, and he was sure that there was little danger, he left for his walk. "He's cute," Barbara said. "Is he? Don't tell me you didn't notice." "Barb, he's my bodyguard and that's all." "So, he can't be cute if he's a bodyguard?" "Okay, he's cute." "So how long have you had a bodyguard?" Marge asked. "For about 2 months now. There are 2 more at the estate." "Are they cute also?" I don't know. And then in response to a look from Marge added, well, I don't. I haven't even seen them yet. Mom hired all three after I started the new picture. Speaking of pictures, we read that you're going to make a weep for the lonely hearts. That's wonderful. We both thought that the book was terrific. What's the screenplay like? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. You agreed to do it without seeing the script? Barbara said. I was promised that it's going to be faithful to the book, which I have read also, and I have script approval rights. I'm sure that it's going to be okay. This is a big budget movie. I should be getting the script in the next couple of weeks because they expect to start shooting in late July. I'd better start working on a design for your gown. When do you expect the premiere? Probably around March or April. I'll need one for a princess before then, but that one should probably be a tux instead of a gown. That's a great idea, Barbara said. Barb, I was only kidding. I know, but I think that you hit on something. It could be kind of a retro look, with slacks under a full skirt. When you get to the premiere, you suddenly whip the skirt portion off as you step up to be interviewed. I'll have to give that some thought. I'm really tired right now of wearing boys' clothes. I have to strap my breasts down every day, wear boys' underwear, and coarse shirts and jeans. I wasn't suggesting boys' pants. I'd make them out of black satin or something. I don't want to look like a boy for the premiere. You won't. I promise you that it'll look great. Did you ever see that famous Eleanor Powell tap dance scene, where she's wearing a white tuxedo? I don't recall it. Well, trust me, even though she was wearing a tux, there was nothing masculine about it. That is, except that she was wearing pants back when women didn't generally wear pants. I'd rather not think about wearing pants to a premiere right now. Is the new gown ready for the final fitting? Yup. Let's all go over to the wardrobe. We can talk there while I work. We spent the next 2 hours in the wardrobe department while Barbara put the finishing touches on her creation. When we were done, the gown fit me perfectly. Barbara covered it in plastic while I finished dressing. Des was waiting in the hallway when we left the wardrobe department. I hugged Marge and Barbara, promised to write soon, and we left. Des drove the rented car back to the airport and we took the first available commuter plane up to Chicago. We arrived back in Vancouver just after dinner time and Mrs. McGuire fixed some food for us. Her leftovers were tastier than the first offerings from some cooks. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks.